I mean, I'll give you guys the breakdown in case you have not seen this before and you don't know how this works, okay? Basically, how they've set this up for Suicide Squad is that for the new season, they bring a new character. Makes sense. Sounds cool. To get the new character, you have to grind a bunch of, like, there's basically multiple little battle passes. One of the battle passes is just for the season or for the episode of the season. And in order to unlock the character, you have to level up that episode's battle pass to a certain point, and then you can unlock the character for free. So when they said it's a free character unlock, it is technically true. But whenever you say technically, it always is like, wait, what? Why did you say technically? Shouldn't there just be, yes, it's free? Well, the thing is, they lock it behind, like, some people are saying 2.5 hours, some people are saying 3 hours. For the Joker, I ran into some bugs where certain missions were supposed to give you like 2 levels on the way to, I think it was like 25 or 30 levels or 35, something like that. And you needed to get to that level by completing these very specific missions, but the missions wouldn't pay out the amount that they were saying they would. So you'd expect it to give you 2 levels, but it would give you like 1.2 levels. And so it just across the board is frustrating in every single way possible. Now you can select squad. You can see I've got my kind of loadout with the Joker before. I didn't have the strength with season 1 to actually finish the grind because it wasn't working right and it just wasn't fun. I was hoping there'd be some new missions and stuff, but there really was not much. So there's that. So last time somebody came in and threw $10 at me and was like, Luke, for the love of God, please just get the Joker so that we can just see how he plays and move on. I will be honest, that's almost certainly what's going to happen here, because the idea of grinding 3 hours of this to get, you know, Rosie O'Donnell in a weird swimsuit, I just don't know if I have the strength to do it. So we're probably just going to, you know, do as I say, not as I do. I'll probably just end up getting her so we can see what she plays like, see if it's worth it. It probably won't be, but we'll do it that way and move on from there. Now from this, you can see we select the episode. Now each of the episodes are designed in similar ways. It's not that varied, but you can see we have Finite Crisis, episode 1, Fear, episode 2, Duality, episode 3, Frozen Hearts, and a bunch of others. Bear in mind, this game is supposed to have 13 different Brainiacs for you to fight, or 13 different like Elseworld variants for you to engage with. There's just, it's a little insane. It's a little insane. There's a lot. And so far, like all of them have been just reskins of previous ones. So it's like, oh, it's a reskin of the Green Lantern fight, or it's a reskin of the Superman fight, but now he's got a Brainiac coat of paint to him. And what's weird is you'll grind out all of that stuff and then you get access to the new character, but you've already completed the big boss fight at the end of the mission. So you would think they give you the character and then you get to use them to do the grinding because it's the new character that makes it interesting. But no, they make you grind with the stuff you've already got to get the character, and then you get the character and it's like, well, I just grinded a ton. Like, why am I doing this? Whitest Rabbit already in with a $10 super chat there. Just end the suffering early. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for the stream. We'll see you later. Bye. Yeah, so I just honestly, I'm not sure how they thought this was going to engage players long term. I just don't get it. I just personally don't get it. So what we'll probably do is we'll rock this out. We'll try the new character, see how she moves and plays, go from there. There's also a cutscene that I accidentally skipped past, so might have to pull that up. Okay.
We've located another of Brainiac's dimensional invasion points and a survivor.
While we're out.
Dr. Freus. I've already been in contact and negotiated a deal.
The Mr. Freeze? Even one from another dimension is sure to be very cool. Very competent.
I should hope so. She's agreed to aid us in the field and in the lab. It's clear Brainiac is still experimenting on the Justice League. We've isolated the Flash's unique Speed Force signature on the Skull ship. Yes, Harkness, they do. Including you. You're especially easy to track.
Oh.
We're still working on details to acquire the Flash, but Freeze will be an asset there. Get her first.
Wait. Huh?
That's all the acknowledgement they're gonna do. Okay. Yeah. So to be clear, this is not a different character. This is Mr. Freeze, but a woman. Which is that like the end of the world? Is that horrible and offensive? Like, no. It's just, why did they do that instead of going with a more interesting character? Why did they feel the need to just take an established character everybody knows and loves and then gender swap it? It does a disservice to like the many female characters and variants that are inspired by Mr. Freeze, but are their own characters. That's what I don't get about this whole like just take an established character and make them a girl. It's like that does a disservice to the actual characters that were written from the ground up to be like empowered, powerful, stunning, brave, and beautiful women. You know, it just doesn't do it. Now, in terms of map changes, it is icy, so there's that. It's raining, but other map alterations, I'm not really seeing any, and I'm looking. Yeah, yawn is right, Joker. I honestly, I only see the one thing in the center that has got like ice and snow over it. I don't see anything else on the map that is even remotely icy. Maybe over there, there's another. So that stadium's got some ice. Over there's got some ice. Okay, so there's a few scattered about. They're few and far between, kind of hard to see, but there are some. So there's that. There's that. I don't know what I was expecting, but there's that. So okay, let's go over here. We'll get Mrs. Freus, who probably drives a Prius, set up in here. Okay, before hopefully I don't die. Okay, so we have the credits now. We have 1,200 credits, which is about $12 worth. Okay, as you can see, we have the character Mrs. Freeze. We also have a few skins. Science of Style Arkham pack, so it's just the Arkham outfit. We also have Historic Cool Classic pack. Okay, we're just gonna move on. The Riddler's Mark of Intelligence. Tailored Chaos Arkham pack, where it's just the Joker from the Arkham series. And then Doctored Results Arkham pack, Harley's Arkham suit, and then Strong Reactions FX, where you can set them on fire. You can't even preview it. I think it's just, okay, well that's weird. They do have, okay, Wife Gal is the name of the skin. Here's the thing. I'm all for Pride. Like nobody's questioning that. But this has got to be one of the most like kindergartner art experiment outfits I've ever seen. Like this isn't, in no world is this fashionable or interesting. Like it literally looks like when you're in the character creator and you just do the like press X to randomize, that's what this looks like. You know, the character designs in the base game were really good. I don't know who they got to do these, but guys, it's what makes you think, like, was there just honestly no feedback? Did nobody give any feedback at all at any point in this? Because that's what it looks like. I mean, it looks like there's just no feedback. Nobody was honest. Nobody said, are you serious? Like, this is what you came up with? This does a disservice to Pride. Like, if you wore this to Pride, everyone would feel shame. You know, like this is unbelievably bad. I'm at a loss. Okay, so there's that. And then like this one, like you're gonna wear a garbage bag with like a little red, I can't zoom out. It's just bad. It's just bad, dude. I don't know what to tell you. It's just freaking bad. But the idea that you would spend $10 on that. $10. Like, bro, You could buy a fourth of Concord for that kind of money. Like, geez. I'm at a loss. So anyway, let's just get this over with. We have Mrs. Freeze, and we'll just, yeah, all of the skins are $10. All of them. This one's 800. I don't even know what these things are. It's like fire effects and tune effects. I think it's cell shaded. The Arkham pack, this one is $10 just to get an outfit that actually looks good on her. Spend $10 to make him look vaguely like the Joker from the game that was actually good. Man, okay. I might have to back out all the way. I think I had to do this last time. I have to like quit session and then put her in the party and then swap back. So, wow. That's a lot. I'm already stunned. Like, this is what's honestly really entertaining about this though, is that just when you think like there's no way it gets worse, like there's no way that it gets worse, they find a way, and it's genuinely impressive. Like it's genuinely impressive. I don't know how they manage, because a lot of games, it's about subverting expectations, right? It's like, oh, you expected us to do this boss fight in this way. Well, we're going to do it in this way. And there's a part 2 to the boss fight. And you're like, oh, wow, you subverted my expectations and blew me away all the more. With this, it's like you expected it to be bad. Hold my LaCroix. Let me show you what's up. It's just unbelievably, oh man. So we'll see how she plays. The Joker moves really cool. He's got a cool movement set. Nobody's going to take that away from him. But like, again, it's a lot of these live service games, it's about the structure. It's about how things are aligned and set up. And if you don't have that long-term support planned, and if you don't have the long-term gameplay loops set up properly, it's just not going to be successful no matter what you do. And with this, it's like you can grind for Mrs. Freeze for 3-4 hours, get her, and then grind the same missions all over again with no like objective. At least if you do something like this, you're grinding, like you get her immediately and then you can grind the content with the new character, which at least makes a little bit more sense. So we have RB for Ice Path. This is the variant of the resources are dwindling. This is the variant of the glider ability that the characters have. But she gets to set up a little ice path. Okay. Left bumper is like the jump thing. Okay. Honestly, I was hoping the ice would stay for longer. It disappears so quickly you can't even really see it. Like, if you're really trying to see it, you can spot it, but it like melts so quickly, it's gone before you can even look at it. In the promotional materials, it looked like you could actually see it. It looked like it stayed in the air for a while. I was excited to see like, oh, can other members of the party jump on it and you can like build a platform with ice and then everybody else jumps on it to fight. But you can't. It just disappears the moment you set it. In the videos, it looked better than it feels. I'm gonna be real. It's like a slushie. Well, let's see also her talents. Let's see that. 5x combo and higher increases firearm damage by 20%, causes successful counters to increase the damage of your next melee by 40%. Okay. Combos increase melee, makes sense. Weak point analysis, melee hits on frozen enemies remove the effect but regenerate 25 shield. Melee hits affect all enemies within 5 meters, but melee cooldown is increased by 2 seconds. That sounds interesting. We could try that. The assault rifles. Yeah, so I need to tweak her loadout real quick. She's currently got this heavy weapon. I think we'll do this one. And then for her sidearm, we can do, we took Deadshot away, so we'll give her that notorious weapon. She gets thermal equilibrium, which is her melee weapon, plus 3% suicide strike, resource generation, 50% melee damage on flash infused enemies, Kills fully recharge your affliction resource and increases melee damage by 250% for 20 seconds. Oh, okay. I feel like every time I read these, I just get a headache. You know. Let's just actually see how she plays. Hello. Oh God. Okay, that's a cool ultimate. I need to do it next to them, but still. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. We got to get back in the swing of things, fam. It's been too long. It's been too long. Or has it been long enough? I don't know. Skadoosh. Why is the screen shake so much worse than I remember? Do I have a setting turned off or something? Because I feel like the screen shake is outrageous right now. I think King Shark is still the most fun to move around with. Harley's not great. I don't really love Harley's movement. I love Boomerang's movement. He's fun. Yeah, this honestly not doing it for me. And I liked the Joker's movement. I thought he was really cool. But yeah, this ain't really doing it for me. I'd probably, if I grinded for her after all this time, I probably would just swap to back to Shark or something. Awesome gear. Let's try an actual mission. Let's give it a shot. The other thing they still do, all of these tutorials are still on screen. If you go back to videos I made at the beginning of this year, those tutorials were still on screen. Like, I've played this game plenty, and they still shove all of the tutorials down my throat constantly. I'm like, I've tried to turn them off in the settings. I've tried to do all sorts of stuff to get rid of them because I don't need them. And it's not like really helpful, interesting tutorials. It's like, press A to jump. They're just broken. See, it's like throw a grenade. I'm like, okay, I know how to throw a grenade, dude. Like, you can chill. How's the performance? It's fine. I mean, I'm playing on Series X. So not like top of the line PC or anything. And it's fine. Like, there's occasional frame drops, but not more than what I've seen in other games of a similar type. I mean, it's pretty standard. Yeah, I just really wish the ice would stay here longer. I don't know if that's something they can patch, but it just feels like it melts as quickly as it arrives. And it'd be so cool if it could like create a platform for the other party members to jump on and use like their movement abilities with. But that's just not in here. It's like they both show red when there's a helicopter in range.
Congratulations on the opposite of dying.
I will say, on the flip side, you actually look on the far right, you can see current players. That's what they have listed. Now, current players, I don't know if that means like people who own the game, people who are online right now, people who have played episode 3. I don't really know how exactly it breaks down, but I would guess it's total players who have played episode 3 that are in the running for that leaderboard. So that would imply across PlayStation and Xbox, I think on Steam, it's what right now, like 500 or something like that. That would imply that they are in that range of like, you know, a few thousand jumped on it there. I don't know why I do this. I mean, I do know why I do this to myself, because people, for whatever reason, are interested in seeing it. Also, that mission was super easy and we didn't even fully apply our skill points, which is really, really funny. It's just every time I see the game and we try it, I'm always like, man, what a waste. You know, every single time it's like, this is one of the formerly top developers in the world, on the planet of Earth. And this is what they spent close to a decade doing. It's just heartbreaking, you know? It's like that old saying where it's like, I'm not even mad, I'm just disappointed. That's literally what this is. It's like, I'm not even really mad about Suicide Squad. Like, obviously I'm not thrilled with how it turned out, but more than anything, I'm just freaking disappointed that this is all they could put together after like a decade. Let's do one more. Let's do one more, then we should have a good idea. Okay, they're on B. See, it's just the same missions. All I want is like new mission types and enemy encounters. Give me that. And we're talking. Yeah, I gotta crank the difficulty. This is like silly how easy it is to just chop through them. Anyway. I just like, it's just so mindless, dude. It's so mindless. And maybe that's the point. Like, you know how some games, I call them like junk food games or like Netflix and chill games. I think we all have games kind of like that, where it's not like there's not a lot of meat on the bone. You're not playing it to like really get a whole lot out of it. It's more just something you play while you have like a baseball game or a football game or something on in the background, and it's just something you're kind of passively engaging with, but not like that intensely. Maybe that's what this is supposed to be. Maybe that's how you have fun with this, is you just turn your brain off. Because when I try to play this in like a sit down and we play the game and we pay attention, it's just, it'll suck your soul out. You know? The next character will be Killer Croc in a wheelchair. That's Mrs. Killer Croc in a wheelchair to you. I feel like every time they show her, they expected us to like start snapping. You know, like, you know, there's types of people that do that, who instead of clapping, they snap for some reason. I get it if like your hand is full and you see a good performance of slam poetry and you want to like applaud, but you have a handful because you're holding a coffee or something. So you snap instead. I still do like the chest pat. I feel like that's more enthusiastic, but those people that do the snapping, I can't. It like actively drives me crazy. I'm telling you, dude, these things were loot boxes. Special delivery. You would have like bought them for $5. They drop in here, you get some stuff. I think that's why they delayed it like a year. I think that's how they had everything set up. Somebody was telling me in a comment section on one of our previous videos on this game, they're like, Luke, you complain about the grind, but all you need to do is go to those little floating, not helicopters, like the little, the thing I just blew up, not the helicopter, but before that. And you got to go hunt those down in these 3 locations on the map. They'll spawn every few minutes, and then you break those over and over again, and it will actually give you higher XP than the missions. So you just need to grind those for a few hours, and then you can get the Joker for free. Or whatever it was. I don't think it was the Joker. It was like level up the battle pass to get whatever cosmetic I was talking about, whatever it was. And I was like, bro, I think if you have to go to that extent to like sit and wait for things to randomly spawn to grind, and we're just talking like literally the same style of gameplay as what Cartman and the boys do in that frickin' that episode with Peace, Love, and Warcraft, World of Warcraft, where they go and they grind all of the hogs over and over and over again. Like, that's what they're talking about. See, the game's actually really good. You just have to play it that way. And I guess my standards are just too high. But if a game is asking for me to do something like that, I'm checked out. Like, I'm just not that interested at that point. If it's gonna ask me to grind the same monotonous, tedious, annoying stuff over and over and over again, I'm just gonna check out. Can I crank the difficulty from here? Difficulty. Yeah, I need to crank it. Let's crank it up a little because it's way too easy as is. Even that, like, look how quickly they're dropping. Maybe I have to load back in or something. I also don't know why she's on fire. I think that's an ability, one of the perks. I don't know why they decided to make Mrs. Freeze light on fire and have a fire ability, because it literally doesn't make sense, but whatever. What do I know? I'm just the dumbass that spent $10 to get the character.
Only you were here, Nora. You always did like to upcycle.
I just... like, who talks this way? I get that they're like imaginary characters, they're supervillains, whatever. But like, casually running around the map and it's like, oh yeah, we gotta remind people that that this is like a character with a family and a wife that she loves. So let's talk about upcycling. It's just like, again, do they expect us to like snap in agreement? I just don't get it, dude. I gotta turn my brain off. The more I try to think about what's happening to me right now, the less it makes sense and my brain just breaks more. Like, you just can't think about it. You can't think about it or you'll drive yourself mad. Drinking game, every time they say something dumb, take a shot. Do you want to die? 'Cause that's what's gonna happen. Okay. I think the last thing for us to do is to go and try to do an Elseworld mission. Stronghold, no. Elseworld. I really miss King Shark's movement. I'm gonna be real. I really miss it, but we did this, so we're sticking to it. Dems to rules. So these are the missions that go into the Elseworlds, which are like the specifically the new maps that are basically created for this event.
This is the exciting multiversal tour I signed up for.
Tap. Okay. So this is the new area. Very icy. Indeed. And it's basically just a reworked version of what we've seen in previous Elseworlds, but now with ice. Instead of like birthday presents and stuff like that from the Joker. Firearm damage. Okay, so facility protection. Okay. 150 kills. Let's grind it. Where are they? Those frames are getting a little choppy. They're fighting for their lives. Oh God. Why are there Green Lantern guns here? How does that even make sense? What the hell is even that? Do you have a headache yet? I sure do. Yeah, these frames are starting to struggle. There's a lot going on. Only 60 left. We can do this. So on a scale of 9 to 10, how good was that? How good do you feel this update is? On a scale of 9 to 10 specifically. A 9? Wow, Poogie, we give this a 9. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. Very high. I don't know, man. It's just, it is exactly what we expected it to be. Like, let's be perfectly clear. None of this is shocking or surprising. I think I'm still a little disappointed in the movement because in the past, like with Joker, his movement was badass. I was like, okay, I could see maybe even going back through the first, like the main story even with this, but look, the frost weapon she can't even equip. Like, honestly, her movement's just not that, it's just not that usable or viable compared to the other party members. Like, King Shark's able to get much higher, much faster. Joker's able to get much higher, much faster and pivot around the map in a much more dynamic way. Like with this, I can do this little jump thing. But the whole reason I was excited about Mrs. Freeze coming, I was like, okay, they could do this like Frozone thing where she creates this like wall of ice that then the rest of the party could walk on and climb on. So if there's like a boss fight where you need to get to a specific vantage point to snipe at him, she could create an ice platform for whoever has the sniper rifle and then pivot off, keep doing what she's doing. I think that'd be super cool, but no, it dissipates way too quickly, like immediately it's gone. So I'm kind of disappointed about that because I was like, the one thing they'll probably figure out is how to do that. But no, just no. I think, like, as I've said plenty of times, the problems with Suicide Squad are both narrative and like clearly they had priorities that were strange. But the problems with Suicide Squad more than anything are structural. As a video game, it's just not good. Like as a live service game, it's atrocious. There's basically no content available for a game that you were supposed to be playing for years. Like, that's what they wanted to do with this game. You're supposed to be able to play it for years and years and years, which is pretty crazy when you see how it turned out, like how little content there was. But that's the thing, is like, I think you can point to some of the stuff like the decision for gender swapping Mr. Freeze, or you could point to the giggler or the Joker baby. You could point to that stuff and be like, see, that's why the game is bad. But no, the game was bad well before they decided to put Mrs. Freeze in, well before they decided on the Jonkler. It's just not a very good game. And that's where, like, I think if you make your primary frustration known to be like the design of Mrs. Freeze, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot when you argue this. Like, you're shooting yourself in the foot because a lot of people will just dismiss what you're saying immediately because they're like, well, yeah, I mean, it's just you don't like that because of whatever personal reasons, so that's not my fault. But I think that can diminish your point when it's like, at its core, it's just a bad game. Like, you don't have to say much of anything else. It's just, as a video game, it's just not very good. It's not more complicated than that. They saw Avengers fail and thought by connecting this game to the Arkham series, it'll be acceptable. Well, it's just such a like delusional thing to think that, well, we made a really popular game series, so if we just take that popular game series and turn it live service, it will be successful, right? We'll just print money. That's just not how that works. The audiences are different, and I think that's hopefully the lesson that a lot of these like big execs, even at Sony, have learned this year and in the last few years, is that you can't expect single player gamers to connect with your live service game just because they've liked some of the other stuff that's been done. It just doesn't work. Like, you saw it with Naughty Dog being forced to do a Last of Us Online game that was eventually canned because it's like, hey, even if we do this, the audiences probably don't overlap. It won't sell very well. And we're going to have to never make a single player game ever again because all we'll ever be doing is live service updates. You know, it's like, that's not going to turn out well. I hope that they've at least learned that lesson. But I mean, I think a lot of us thought they would have learned the lessons about live service stuff back in like 2017 after the whole Battlefront 2 debacle, but these executives never cease to amaze me, you know? It's always really impressive that they find ways to continue screwing stuff up when, like, it's the easiest layup. It's like, hey, just make something that's not a pile of crap and is, like, honors the source material, true to the source material of the Arkham series, and lean into production quality and the narrative side of stuff. Just do that. It'll be great. They're like, okay, we hear you. But you know that game, Avengers, that flopped? What if we just did that? Oh, man. And then it's just more waves of them. Yeah, $70 for a game that won last year. I mean, it sounds like an exaggeration, but this is what? July 25th, season 2. Season 3 probably drops in October, maybe. And then season 4, maybe January. And then after that, they probably walk away because they have 4 that they need to do. So I don't, like, you're probably not wrong. It probably is just about 11 months that this game will be alive before they just walk away. But that's just what happens when you have a game that doesn't immediately connect with people. That's live service. They just are like, okay, well, it's trash. That was fun. Like, at this point, I don't know where I'm at in terms of hours played. Probably like somewhere between 15 and 20 because the base game was so short. And I still feel like I'm losing my mind with how repetitive this stuff is. I don't know how somebody does 600 hours. You just leave it on the main menu? Honestly, I think that's the most reasonable solution. That's easier to believe that somebody did that for 600 hours, which still is a ridiculous amount of time to keep a game open on just on the menu. But it's easier to believe that than that somebody spent 600 hours playing this. I don't know. After all this, I was honestly hoping there'd be more to talk about. Let's quickly, okay, let's do this. Like I said, I accidentally skipped the cutscene. So let's pull up the cutscene real quick to actually look at the narrative component of this, okay? Because we there is a narrative piece of this that they keep, they frame as a big selling point. This is what you see when you first boot up the game, okay? This is the narrative introduction to the one and only Mrs. Freeze. Here we go.
Here we are again. Me and you against the world. What a world it is. It took serious modifications to my body to survive in Brainiac's frozen wasteland. As for my mind, Dr. Frias always has a plan. But I couldn't plan our way out of this one. Time and time again, I refused to join Amanda Waller and her task force.
They literally just did like, in Photoshop when you do like Control I to invert a layer. That's kind of what they did with this alternative dimension Waller. They're like, the Waller that the players know is like super small and scrawny. So what if we just did the opposite? Like, that's pretty scary.
Involvement would do little to save the world. But I could save our world. Eventually, the calls stopped coming, and we were alone. Until now. I received a communication from another Waller. Another dimension, another chance. This Waller seems different. More calculating. Her task force sounds marginally more competent. They've already begun a counterattack against Brainiac. But as always with Waller, there was a deal to be made. Her world's greatest scientific minds working on a cure. For my assistance in recovering the Flash. Send a scientist to find a scientist. I said logic. If her people can reach us, it'll prove their capabilities. And if they can't, it's still me and you against the world. Nora.
So that's the cutscene, and then it's the little introduction that we also saw. Okay. After you grind all of this out, you then get to see her join the squad. Okay. Let's see her joining the squad. That first clip, by the way, shout out to Dan Allen Gaming for having that captured and put up so quickly. And then shout out to Ben Gunn for having this clip ready to go. Here we go. You ready? Let's see if you grind this out, what you get.
Come on, Sharko, it's one frozen lady. How hard can it be?
Kid, get down here.
Victoria Frias, I presume.
Amanda Waller. So tell me again about the partner benefits.
The deductibles are hell.
Whoa! Like a giant collectible! She's in mint condition! BNIB!
Nora has undergone vitrification. She is not an action figure.
I think they are bonding.
Shark, we didn't go through all that to make friends. We need her tech to win the war.
Statistically, it's extremely unlikely you can stop Brainiac.
Come on. I thought you'd be up for taking the long shot, no matter the cost.
Oh, tingly.
These are your world's finest scientific minds? What happened here?
I am more of a hobbyist, but I would also be happy to assist.
And you get to hang out with us while your Sheila's defrosting. No offense.
I'll be frank, Dr. Frias. You want Task Force X to take you and your wife back to the Ice Age. Fine. But you know a better offer isn't coming. For either of you.
Desperate times, desperate measures. Name your price.
There might be a teeny nanite bomb in your head, Clive.
Do it. For Nora. No matter the cost.
Good for them. Cute couple. You got strong and you got silent.
I eliminate Brainiac from the multiverse, and you fulfill your end of the deal. Yes?
First, a little downtime, Doctor. Luther has some files on metahuman tissue regeneration that I'd like an expert opinion on.
Don't worry, ma'am. We'll look after her. Does she like store brand or name brand? I've got protein bars.
Huh. So you grind like 3 hours for that. Like 3 hours. This also from Ben Gunn, the Brainiac boss fight. Is it new?
Here to reclaim your sworn enemy, the Flash. How touching. I'll be more than happy to share my research with you. In fact, I've made a breakthrough. As you can see, I am now a league of my own.
Dude.
Calculators out and pencils ready, Task Force X.
Hey, Luther, how do we do this?
So, I mean, again, no shocker. It's just another reskin and fighting waves of enemies, shooting weak points, breaking crystals to break shields on other weak points that you shoot. It's like the reporting so far. Jason Schreier did a great report back in early June where he described kind of what went on with this. And he said currently there's a bit of a skeleton crew working on this. They have a few people doing some work on it. Everybody else at Rocksteady is either prepping a pitch for a new single player game, or they are helping Warner Brothers Avalanche prepare for the launch of the director's cut of Hogwarts Legacy, which is coming as well. So I don't think they're doing active work on this. I think this has been done for months probably, and they are just like putting it out, and it just is what it is. You know, I don't think they're actively like changing anything. I think everybody that did all of this work probably is working on other stuff now, or they don't work at Rocksteady anymore. So like I don't expect anything to change for the next update or anything, but it's just there were decisions made that make me really question the capability of the studio now. Because again, like you can blame consultancy groups and stuff like that. You can point at those and be like, see, they ruined this game. But that's not, I don't think that follows. If somebody consults on this game and they tell you, hey, we know that you gotta like really excite people. You gotta bring people over. You gotta get them into your game and to stay for those seasonal updates that bring new playable characters, and they have to want to grind for those new playable characters. So we got to pick playable characters that are going to be extremely fun. What are we going to do? Let's take beloved characters and put them in the game? No. We're going to take beloved characters and then we're going to gender swap them, and then also give them some of the most like lackluster costume designs that I've seen in a recent game. And I don't understand it. Like the Joker, okay, the Joker's dead, so I understand why they wouldn't be able to just bring back Joker 1-to-1. But this I just don't get how anybody on the team thought this was a good idea or that this would end well. You know, I just don't understand it. Because somebody had to look at all of this like a year ago, because people were data mining this a year ago. Maybe not quite a year ago, but months and months and months ago. So this has been in the game for ages. And so probably before they designed it a year or two ago, when they were deciding on this lineup, they had to decide that this was the best option. Because developers don't do the most mediocre choice when they're trying to design features or playable characters. They're going to pick the ones that they think will get the best response. And if they thought that this was going to get the best response, we're dealing with a level of delusion that is not fixable with just getting greenlit with a new single player game. Like that calls into question all of their capabilities as game directors, as a studio themselves. And that's the problem. I mean, that's the real problem at the end of the day. Dude, having to grind out 25 of those things. Oh, man. More power to you. I don't have the strength.
What are you idiots doing? Get the Flash into stasis and get back to work.
Wish you were always that fun, Flasher. We'll make a sidekick out of you yet.
Yeah, they didn't even like do cutscenes for it. They just did like still shots. They did a full-on Redfall. They Redfalled it. It's just tonally, it's really weird, dude. The game is just weird. You know, like I don't even know what to say anymore. People are like, Luke, why are you still covering this game? Why do you still play it and stuff? And I jokingly said at the top of the stream that I had people dare me basically like a year ago. I was making videos on how there were a lot of red flags with this game and how I thought it was going to be a dumpster fire. And people were very triggered. There were people, funnily enough, that were calling like me a brokey for not wanting to spend $70 on the game, which is really funny. There were people that said, you're not even going to play the game after all of this. When it drops and ends up being great, you're just going to shut up and pretend like nothing ever happened. So I was like, okay, you know what? I will play the game. I will cover it. We'll follow it. We're going to follow it all the way to the dumpster, and I will light it on fire in preparation for its arrival. It's just, but more than anything, it's just fascinating. The fact that there's well over 1,000 people watching like this stream shows that there's a bit of a morbid fascination with it. And more than anything, I think it's that people in the gaming community right now like seeing games that are soulless, that have been designed just to milk them for money. They like seeing those games fail because it's like, you know, winning against the corporate bigwigs who thought they could get away with this kind of thing. And so there's a sort of schadenfreude with it where everybody feels for the devs. Like the skeleton crew working on this game, they don't, like, I don't think they are responsible for any of this. They're just doing their best and trying to, it's their job. They're just trying to make a living. But I think that like the game directors that made these choices, they do deserve a lot of flack for all of this. And the reporting from like Jason, like what even is this? Dude, they're praying. I'm not joking. Look at this shot. They all have their hands folded, eyes closed. She's kneeling, like bowing and praying at putting him in the stasis chamber. What? I don't get it. I don't get it. I missed something. Yeah, I mean, so much of this, it's just like the game is either confusing or the extent of the design decisions in the game are that somebody with like a weird sense of humor or like a weird opinion of what's cool and entertaining, they decided do this and then nobody questioned it. Like if somebody said, oh yeah, and then we should do this like montage kind of thing of them goofing around with the Flash. Okay, maybe. Yeah. Well, what are you thinking? Well, let's do shots of like everybody kneeling with their hands clasped together as Dr. or Mrs. Freeze is putting him into this stasis chamber. Wouldn't that be so funny? Would it be though? I don't know, man. It's like the team has some inside jokes and they think it's funny only for them, so they put it inside the game. Maybe I genuinely don't understand what this is supposed to be a joke of. Like, I don't get it.
Wish you were always that fun, Flasher.
Like, that makes sense. Pose next to him, like, yeah, we captured him. We got him. This, yeah, taking selfies. You know, we got some people embarrassed by it. Some people think it's a bad idea. I get that. This kind of lines up.
Into stasis and get back to work.
I just don't understand this one. I just don't get this one. Anyway, there's going to be another episode to the season in like a month or two. And when they do that, it'll be another Brainiac reskin fight. But then nothing else. And then like another month or two after that, we'll get season 3, which is going to have another playable character. Does anyone in chat remember what the third playable character is? I have already forgotten. Oh yeah, Zoe Lawton. That's right. Miller Ross, who's done a bunch of data mining on the game, said, meet Zoe Lawton, aka Lawless. She's grown up since that photo was taken. This photo on like his locker door or whatever. She's grown up since that photo was taken, but not enough to know better. Her and her crew are smuggling in Kuluan weapons from the Metropolis invasion to steal from Gotham's elite in Robin Hood style heists. Wealth redistribution, she'd say. Dude, it's like a meme of itself at this point. They're like, again, all of the writing is just like they expect you to just go. It's unbelievable. Like, again, they're supposed to be putting characters in that are like freaking badass and that you're getting super, super excited for. And instead they're doing this stuff. Like, give me actual Robin Hood and I'd be more interested. It's unbelievable. This is also why I've said, like, I'm personally not that worried about like activist participation in the games industry, because when they do get the chance to basically write a game story and characters and stuff, as seems to be the case with Suicide Squad, it almost always reveals itself in a hilarious way, because they're not good at it. Like, because they're not writers, they're not authors, they're not narrative experts. They are activists first and foremost. And whether their causes are good or bad doesn't really matter. But the point is, if you are going in and then choosing characters for a video game, or you're writing a story for a video game because you've been hired to help with them with that, but you're not a writer, the story's probably going to be bad. And with this stuff, like, it ends up floating to the top almost every single time, where the game just reveals itself to be very, very cringy, very bad. And as a result, the market kind of adjusts for it. Like, this game kind of just a pile of garbage. And as a result, it's lost them $200 million. So I'm just of the mind that generally this stuff will fix itself, you know, like it'll just sort of resolve itself, because they'll put out a bunch of garbage and then it's like, wait, the game's bad? How could we have known? You know? It's like, if you had asked literally anybody about this, they could have told you this was going to end this way. But what they did is they wrote off, according to their earnings call, their CFO said that they were writing off a $200 million loss. This isn't an article. This is from their earnings call, which you're down to listen to. You're free to listen to. It's available in investor relations on their website. But the CFO and the CEO described how they have had to account for a $200 million loss as a result of the failure of the video games they've launched in Q1 of this year. It's not technically Q1. I think it's Q4 of their fiscal year, but you get what I'm saying. It has absolutely lost them hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, and there is no question. There is no question. They lost so much money with this game. It's ridiculous. I could keep grinding it, but I mean, we know how it's going to end. We know it's just going to be that cutscene, and then it's like, yep, continue grinding. So I don't think it's that necessary. I think we can take off the next 3 months, and then we'll see what they do probably in October with another playable character, and then they'll have a final season 4 update. And it looks to be that at that point they're going to cut their losses and move on. He took my thing.